Hello, living in Boulder for Wednesday, July 24th, 2019 at 2:21 p.m. So yesterday I think I did my video at like 4 or something. I was working on battles, world battles. I have all the world battles on one page, and so it's Google Earthed, so you just click it and it takes you to Google Earth, which is better than Wikipedia, because Wikipedia you have to like copy the code and then paste it on to Google Earth and waste time. Plus, I want to later on, I don't know how soon it's going to be, because if I try this, it's going to take forever because there's thousands of battles, but that'd be cool to like rebuild the battle on the actual site, like 3D, color coded and everything. But I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon. I'm only adding the links and adding the Wikipedia right now. Right now, I'm on 1662, Siege of Fort Zealandia in Taiwan. And with the Wikipedia, I made it up until the end of the beginning of the 1500s with the linking, but I think I might have to redo a lot of that, because once, like, most of the centuries, there were like half dozen or whatever battles per century that have been added since I built this, because I built this and then I never managed to finish it, and then 4 years went by. The reason I know that I built it in April of 2015 was because when I scroll down to the bottom of the page, I got in, the battles suddenly stopped in April of 2015, which means that that's when I was working on it. So just now I went in there and I built the rest of the battles all the way up until the end of 2018. They don't have a Wikipedia article for battles of 2019 yet. So it's crazy to think that it's been, April of 15, that's 16, 17, 18, 19. That's more than 4 years. That's crazy. Crazy, 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 man. But that's probably how most of my pages are. Like, most of my pages on my website, it's so big. When I look at a page, it's probably the first time I've seen it for like 4 or 5 years. So every single page I look at, it's just past generation. It's like walking around your garage and looking at your cars that you bought like last week, but you forgot that you bought them last week. You really actually bought them 5 years ago and you never got around to driving them. And so you're looking at your brand new Porsche, but then you compare it to the new Porsches on the street and it's old, but you don't realize how that could be because you just bought it last week, because your brain tells you bought it last week when you really bought it 10 years ago. So that's kind of what my website is like. I'm like, after I look at a page, I go, okay, so this is a cool page. And then I get into it and I go, okay, wow, yeah. And I feel like it's yesterday that I was working on it. And then I realize, this page has only just begun. I didn't realize that. See, that's the trick to making a huge website, is you only make it appear to be finished at first glance, but in reality, none of the pages are actually barely started. So yeah, and then once I got to the century of 1500s, all of a sudden somebody went in there and just bumped up all of the battles. Because the way that people discover battles is they read history books, and then they put the battle from their history book onto Wikipedia, but then you read another history book and they mention another battle. Like there's a dozen battles that are in Livy that are on my website that don't exist on Wikipedia, because nobody who writes on Wikipedia has read Livy. So there'll probably continue to be more and more and more battles for the next 20 years flooding onto Wikipedia from people reading books that mention battles that aren't on Wikipedia. So yeah, ever since the 15th, it seems like it's like 5 times more. Somebody multiplied the number of battles by like 3 or 4 or 5 times, because it's like I only have like a battle a year, but then I look on Wikipedia and it's like 6 or 7 battles a year. So what I'm doing now is I'm just linking all of the Wikipedia to all the battles that I have, all the way to the end of time, which is the end of 2018. And then I'll go back to the year probably starting at 1400 and just scan through really quick and make sure that all the battles that are on Wikipedia have to make it on my site. So I'll just be plumping in more and more battles, especially beginning in the 2015s, until I fill it up, and then I'll have to do those, do the Google Earth location and link it, all that kind of stuff. So we're talking maybe another week or two, just on this page. But, it's a big page. It's all the battles in the world. It's kind of like a timeline, the way you look at it, because you can look at all the different decades and see some decades have more battles than others. And so you can memorize which decades have the most battles. And then you go, okay, well, what war is that? And then I'll title actually each decade is going to be titled with its own like characteristic war and stuff. So, yeah, it's one of those pages that's just, whew, super time consuming. And then after I do this one, which will take another 2 weeks probably. This is a doozy right here. Then I'll get going on the Google Earth page of Boulder, Rome, and Boulder, and hopefully that won't take a zillions of years, 2 or 3 weeks to do. I do have a few more months of work to do on Boulder. I think the last thing I was working on Boulder is realistifying all of the different houses. I think I did all the lots rainbow color, but then I was going to do a realistic version for the movies. And then I'm going to trace all of the mines in Boulder County because I started that. And then, everything else. And then, of course, Boulder, Rome, which takes Boulder from 150 years ago, and then attaches Roman buildings and towns to each one of them. And then I can kind of defy the laws of physics and put towns up on tops of mountains and that kind of stuff. The purpose being to integrate education so that when you're looking at the mountains, you're also looking at Rome. When you're thinking about Rome, you're also thinking about how time passes for everybody and how long ago it was for you when Boulder started, and to be more interested in Rome and feel like you're traveling around Rome here, and and just tie everything into it, sizes of things, how time passes, and then maybe do a little bit of that for the rest of the world too. I have tracings of all the towns, tribal towns and battles of the world and stuff, so, and trade routes and all that. So after I do the Google Earth of Boulder, Rome, and Boulder, I think at that point I'll go in and want to work on my timeline. Before, what I was going to do was, and I'm still not done with Atlantis, but I'm not going to work on it because I'm happy with how much I've done with that so far. I'll get back to that later. But I'd like to, because I never finished building the canals of the island of Atlantis. But yeah, before I was going to go in there and do the tracings, the Google Earth of all the kingdoms. But I think what's calling to me more now on my timeline is fixing the links on the timeline. The horizontal to vertical timeline. So when you click stuff horizontally, it takes you vertical. Then you click vertical again, it takes you horizontal. So you can jump around. That'd make my timeline like so much better. And it's really easy process to do as well. Totally mindless. I could be listening to stuff and smoking off my ass and fucking continuing working and finishing this diggity timeline. Now, so I am going to get more reefer. It's the 24th. I don't have any money. I have less than $100. I have like $50. So now I'm just living off credit card. But as soon as the first comes, I get a check. I'm not going to say where or how much it is. It's not much. It's barely enough to slowly climb me out of credit card debt, as long as I don't spend anything. I went way back into credit card this month because my freaking fiance visited me, but as of now, I'm good. So as soon as the first comes, I think I could afford, because my dispensary Green Tree gives me $45 off. I'll spend like $75 on edible marijuana, and I'll eat that for a few days, and when that runs out halfway through the month, I might buy actual weed. Depends on how pressured I get. If I feel like if I'm constantly banging my head against the wall, spinning my head, wondering how the hell my website got so dysfunctional, then I start smoking weed because it just stresses me out because I feel I have way too much on my plate. But if I haven't been talking to my mom and nobody's been fucking with me, and I'm in a place of peace, then I don't have to smoke weed because I'm perfectly happy with how slowly my website's going. Anyways, that's almost 10 minutes. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll still be working on this, but be a lot closer to being done. All right, later.